everybody. Welcome to the South Australian Sports Show. Plenty of South Australian sport to talk about too. We've got bowls, cricket, hockey, got a couple of superstar gymnasts coming into the show. Plenty to talk about. Of course, long weekend, the AFL was on. Plenty happening in South Australian sport. As a welcome, Rob Popplestone to the show. Poppy, how are you?
I'm going okay. It's taken me a couple of days to get over the long weekend though. You know what, it's nice to have that extra day, but when there's so much sport on, I think, wow. So, look, I'm feeling okay now.
All right, can I ask you about the Crows-Carlton game? How'd you see it?
Well, you know what? They probably delivered what we thought they might, and there was a few reasons for that. I really liked Barker's decision prior to Adelaide to rest some of their gun players in preparation for Adelaide. I thought that was a sign that he was setting himself and the team up for a win. Also, after seeing Fremantle battle against Richmond, I thought, oh, hang on a minute, maybe Adelaide might feel the pinch as well. And I think a mixture of those two elements made for a really close game on the weekend. But you know what? 4 points is 4 points. You take it every time.
All right, Taylor Walker was lucky he got off his charge. I want to ask you about Chris Judd, although we're talking about him, probably one of the greatest players to play AFL footy. Announced that he's not going to go on with his career because of the surgery and rehab for the knee. Would you be on the phone right now asking him if you were Crows or Power? We need him as an assistant coach?
Quality person, no question about that. I think we'll struggle to get him here in SA. I mean, given that his history has obviously been WA and Victoria, he and his wife Rebecca have pretty much entrenched in Melbourne with her role in the media over there as well. He's a big name in Melbourne. There'll be big opportunities for him. If we could swing him some way, somehow we would. I think that he'll probably have a role, a bit of a peek at what coaching presents to him with Carlton for the remainder of this year, and it'll be interesting to see what he decides next year.
Yeah, it's always struck me, I mean, take away all his accolades as the player, but he's always been a smart operator. You know,
mature, considered.
He's been in the game and seen the game well for a long time. I just think he's primed to be an outstanding assistant coach. If he chooses to go that path, he may not. Financially, I doubt that he'd need to, but he may consider it. Just that he's a quiet achiever in that thing. I think not to be underrated. Power, we saw them on the weekend. I was at the game against the Doggies. How'd you see that one?
Well, you know, I don't know. Power just got me. They produce some great footy and they're winning games. So, you know, if you look at their last couple of weeks against Melbourne and then against the Bulldogs, they powered to the line. That's a good sign. What worries me is that the game is there for either side for a period of time. Now, you can do that against Melbourne and you can do it against Bulldogs. But in the upcoming weeks, you can't do it against sides that are actually in and fighting real hard for, although the Bulldogs were, fighting real hard and are real contenders for a top 8. You can't do it. So they need to improve, and I'm sure they will. And Ken keeps on saying they've got improvement, and I think they have, but they need to show it.
All right, bit of criticism for Caroline Wilson earlier in the week about the young fan that was injured going for the footy and had a bit of a dip, you know, saying that Port Adelaide 3 times now this has happened, and I'm the other way. We're disappointed. It shouldn't happen. We all agree that it shouldn't happen. But is it because the security is good that they're picking up those things when they happen? Because it goes on at all the other grounds.
Oh, no
You'd
question.
be absolutely delusional to think that those things weren't happening at other grounds. I think Port got to get some credit for being on top of it and being aware of it and being active. Don't like it, but it hasn't been reported at other grounds. Is that because their security's not as good?
Well,
is that a possibility?
You know what? Well, possibly, but I think Port Adelaide fans are passionate as any of the teams in the AFL at the minute. But we've been around sport for long enough, and we've been around enough clubs for long enough to know that what we're seeing is It's to me, it's going to be bordering on a witch hunt. It means that Port Adelaide probably have to work 3 times harder to make sure there are no incidents, because once the media's got their teeth into a topic, well, it may well be, Phil, and that's my problem, is that with 50,000 people, it's pretty hard to not have one incident. You just don't need the media highlighting that incident every single week, because every single week there are incidents at every single game. That's not condoning anything that's happened. Port Adelaide will put their hand on heart and say, you know what, but what can they do?
We're not for a minute saying the incidents are right. We all agree that they're totally wrong. I'm just saying that they're happening at other grounds and they're not being exposed.
No.
So I think even though Port are wearing a bit of flack for it, they're exposing it and doing something about it.
Yes.
Other ones are sort of going, well, that doesn't happen at our ground. I'm going, well, I've been to some of those games. I think you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, well, we've had a few, haven't we? You know, Alistair Clarkson, the incident on the weekend. We've had a few.
Sure, and Hooley's copped a bit. All right, I want to talk the buys coming up.
Yes.
I want to have a look at the 5 games. And just, I've gone through the numbers. I want to get your opinion. The Crows have got the buy coming up. Okay?
They need it.
Okay, they do. Then their next game, round 12, they play Hawthorn. At Adelaide Oval, a win or a loss?
I have to say a loss.
All right, round 13, they've got Brisbane at the Gabba.
Gabba's hard, but I say win. You have to give them the win.
Give them the win, all right. Then they've got Geelong at Adelaide Oval.
Oh, goodness. Can I go 50-50? Can I sit there? Can I go draw?
All right, go with that. All right, a draw. West Coast at Domain.
No, you have to go West Coast.
All right, then round 16, just keep this in the back of your head, they play the showdown against Power.
Oh, God.
Now, the Power, they're sitting in 9th spot.
Yep.
Okay, they've got Geelong on Friday night.
Oh, at home.
Yep.
So you'd have to say they should scrape. I mean, their performances at home in recent times haven't been. They've been beaten by Sydney, been beaten by Richmond, but let's give them Geelong.
All right, okay, then they've got Carlton, the MCG.
So we'll give them that one.
Okay, then they get the bye.
Well, they're okay, yeah.
Okay, Sydney at the SCG.
No, Sydney.
It's an unusual one on a Thursday. It's on a Thursday. All right, then they've got Collingwood at Adelaide Oval.
Give them that one.
All right, then they play the Crows. Okay, so now the Crows' win-loss record at the moment, 6 wins, 4 losses.
Yes.
Power on 5 wins and 5 losses.
Yes.
Now, have a look at the draw so far and you say...
I love it when you do these numbers. You come in with all these graphs and possibilities.
This, just possibilities, just for the listeners.
Yep.
Freo are sitting in top spot. They're 9-1. Sydney are 8-2. West Coast 7-3. Collingwood are 7-3. GWS are 7-3. So in their next 5 games, they'll win at least 1. They're not going to lose all of them and could possibly win 2 or more. So they're going to be 8 or 9.
Yep.
Okay, now with
At
the
least.
teams that we've just read out, the Power and the Crows look like they'll be about 7-7 when they come to the showdown.
Wow.
So they're looking at the showdown being 5 games out as being the game that could decide whether they're in the 8 or not.
You know, and this year too, I think traditionally we've always expected a team needs to win 12 minimum to fall into that top 8. You might find this year it's actually 1 or even 2 games less than that. Because, you know, this season has delivered what the AFL has wanted to deliver a long time. Okay, there's some 3 or 4 teams down the bottom that aren't going to play a part, but it goes pretty deep this year. It goes pretty deep, and every single week there are games that are throwing up surprise results. Just go to Richmond beating Freo in WA last week. Perfect example. So it's happening. So we go through those next 5 and assume we sort of know what might happen. But you know what? We'll be here in 5 weeks' time going,
what happened?
Gee, the next 5 weeks are going to be tough.
All right, let me say this to you though. Freo, Sydney, West Coast, Collingwood, Greater Western Sydney.
Yes.
There's 5. So there's 3 spots left. These are the teams that are vying for those 3 spots. North Melbourne.
Yes.
The Bulldogs.
Yes.
Geelong.
Yes.
Port, Richmond, Adelaide and Hawthorn.
Wow.
So you go, well, if you had to put a line through that right now, you go, well, probably put a line through the Doggies.
Yes.
Then it's a toss of it. And the Doggies are playing well.
Look, I think Adelaide are going to really start to feel the pinch. I think the best thing, and you highlighted at the start of that, was the fact that they had the bye. Because Douglas and Podsey and Crouch, and they need to have their best side out there to have a better than even chance.
All right, just quickly, where's Podsey Adley?
Well, I saw him play last week for Sturt.
Yep.
He's capable. He's really capable. He just needs opportunity. And with Jenkins playing well, he might not get it.
Get an opportunity.
Yeah, but it's nice to have that depth there, the pressure.
All right, I want to ask you a couple of quick questions about Power. Jared Pollock, I looked this up, scans on his foot. The navicular bone is the one that he's done. The physios that I talk to say it's somewhere between 3 and 9 months if you're lucky that it heals. Often it's a 12-month injury, and there is the chance that it doesn't heal at all.
You know, Ken Hinkley has said in his statement that they expect to put a line through him for this year, the weekend of the bye. The information I've got is it's actually much more serious than that. In fact, I think that he may have gone to 4, 5, maybe even 6 different specialists whose prognosis is that
not good.
Well, no,
permanently.
He may not get back. Has there been incidents of that?
Because there has been.
Okay, well, that's the information I got. But without doing the research on whether that was a possibility, that's the information we got.
All right, I want to ask you about Justin Westhoff too. I think he's the MPV, not the MVP. I think he's the multi-purpose vehicle for Power. I think he may be close to the best multi-purpose vehicle. I saw him on the weekend.
Hang on. We're still talking AFL footy, or does he play another sport?
No, AFL footy. I saw him on the weekend. He played up forward, grabbed some marks, kicked some goals. Then they put him into the ruck. Then towards the end of the quarter, when they don't want the team to score, they send him down the back. And he plugs up those spots every time. And a lot of people don't like him. I mean, he's nearly in that fear the beard routine that's going in the NBA. But is he underrated as a multi-valuable
You know
player?
what? Well, look, maybe he is. And my observations are that he's capable of filling a whole array of positions. But he just doesn't take it. At times, he takes a game by the scruff of the neck. I'd like him to do it more often.
To be in the elite mold.
But then again, he's a good, what do you call it? What was he?
My multi-purpose vehicle.
A multi-purpose
Instead of the MVP, most valuable player, multi-purpose vehicle. Warren Chetray wrote an article earlier in the week where he talked about Harvey, Voss, Judd and Fife handing over the baton over time to each other as the great midfielders.
Yes.
Is Ollie Wines in 5 years' time dangerously close to taking the mantle from Fife?
He's probably in the top handful now. He's underrated, bordering on being rated top 5. He's the real deal. And it's no surprise he comes back in, Port start winning. Good stuff.
All right, okay, we're going to a little new segment here for you. Poppy the Gypsy. I want you to get your crystal ball out and gaze into it. The Gypsy, mate. So I just want to get some...
Been called a few things.
You have, but not the
Gypsy.
Michelle Dendecker, appointed for 2 years of the Thunderbirds. What are you predicting the next 2 years?
Predicting they'll play finals netball within those 2 years.
All right, SANFL,
not finals football.
We saw Glenelg get their first win last weekend, 35-pointer over North. What's the future for Glenelg this year?
Better than the future of the North Adelaide coach.
All right, Rory Sloane, Patrick Dangerfield haven't signed their contracts as yet. Will we see a signature before the end of the year?
We will for Rory Sloane, maybe not to Dangerfield until the end of the year.
Okay, well, time for us to take a break. Plenty coming up on the show. Stay with us.